Here in the ancient text of Genesis, we find something quite extraordinary. It is a document unlike any other from the ancient world. It is a map of humanity itself, drawn in the aftermath of a world-altering flood. Imagine a planet washed clean, a blank slate upon which a new history is about to be written. This chapter, often called the Table of Nations, attempts to chart the very beginning of that history. It tells us how the family of one man, Noah, scattered across the earth. They were to fill the empty lands, to build, to create, and to become the great tapestry of peoples we see today. It is a breathtakingly ambitious record. This remarkable chapter serves as a bridge. It connects the primeval history of creation, the Great Flood, with the later stories of patriarchs' nations. Before we meet Abraham, the father of a great people, we are first given this panoramic view. It is a wide-angle lens showing us the origins of everyone. Before we dive deeper into these ancient stories, why not join us on this journey through time? If you're fascinated by the roots of humanity and the mysteries of the ancient world, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Just tap the subscribe button below and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our explorations into history, culture, and the remarkable narratives of the past. Let's uncover these stories together. The architecture of Genesis chapter 10 is both simple and elegant. It is meticulously organized. The entire chapter is built around the genealogy of Noah's 3 sons. It lists their children and their grandchildren, generation by generation. The account unfolds in a specific, deliberate order. It begins not with the eldest, but with the descendants of Japheth. Then it moves to the descendants of Ham. Finally, it culminates with the lineage of Shem, the line from which Abraham and the people of Israel would eventually emerge. This structure is not random. It is a carefully crafted narrative. Each of the 3 main sections follows a similar pattern. It introduces the son of Noah, lists his immediate offspring, and then often details the subsequent generations. For example, we read, "The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai." This formulaic approach gives the chapter a rhythmic, almost poetic quality. It reads like a formal declaration, a scholarly attempt to categorize the world. It is a masterful piece of literary cartography, using family relationships to draw a map of the world and to locate their own people within it. The narrative of Genesis presents Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth, as the wellsprings of all nations. Each son becomes a symbolic head of a major division of humankind. Their descendants flow outwards like 3 great rivers to populate the earth. These are not just names, but archetypes. They represent distinct geographical and cultural spheres to the ancient reader. Shem, whose name links to renown, ancestor of the Semitic peoples. From Shem's line come Eber, the Hebrews, and eventually Abraham. Ham, name linked to hot or sunburnt, linked to Africa and the eastern Mediterranean coast. Descendants settle south and west of Israel. Egypt, Mizraim, Japheth, name linked to enlarged, progenitor of northern and western peoples. Coastlands of the Mediterranean. Japheth represents the expanding horizon at the edge of the known world. The lineage of Japheth, listed first in the Table of Nations, paints a picture of peoples spreading far and wide. The text says his descendants would occupy the coastlands of the nations, a phrase that evokes maritime peoples and distant shores. These are the nations on the periphery of the biblical world, inhabiting the vast territories to the north and west of the Fertile Crescent. The names themselves are like echoes from a distant past, clues that historians and linguists have pursued for centuries. Gomer is often identified with the Cimmerians, a nomadic people from the Eurasian steppe who clashed with the Assyrian Empire. Among Japheth's sons, we find names that resonate with classical history. Javan is almost universally understood to refer to the Ionians, the Greeks of the Aegean coast. Elisha is linked to Cyprus, also known as Alashiya in ancient texts. Tarshish to a distant port, perhaps in Spain, famous for its mineral wealth. Kittim is also associated with Cyprus or the broader Mediterranean isles, while Dodanim or Rodanim in some manuscripts likely refers to the island of Rhodes. It's as if an ancient cartographer were listing the key ports and peoples one would encounter on a voyage across the Great Sea. The section on Ham's descendants is perhaps the most detailed and complex in the chapter. It describes the origins of ancient, powerful civilizations. Ham's sons are Cush, Mizraim, Put, Canaan, Mizraim, the Hebrew name for Egypt. Egypt, the kingdom of the Nile, pyramids and pharaohs, Egyptian civilization as awe-inspiring and menacing. The line of Cush is particularly intriguing. It introduces Nimrod, a figure of immense importance. Nimrod, the first mighty man on earth. Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel Erech Akkad in the land of Shinar, ancient Sumer Babylon. The inclusion of Canaan is theologically and historically significant. Canaan, ancestor of the peoples in the land promised to Abraham. Overall, Ham's descendants are portrayed as great builders, founders of Egypt and Babylon, creators of first cities and empires. The final genealogy presented in Genesis 10 is that of Shem. This placement is deliberate, building to a climax central to the biblical narrative. While his list of descendants may seem less spectacular than Ham's, with fewer mighty empires and towering cities, it is still portrayed as the most significant. Shem is the ancestor of the Shemites, or Semitic peoples, a term still used today to describe a family of languages, including Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic. His lineage represents the historical and spiritual heartland from which Israel would emerge. The focus is on heritage and promise, not imperial power. The list of Shem's sons points to key peoples and regions in the Fertile Crescent. Elam was a powerful civilization in what is now southwestern Iran. Ashur is the clear progenitor of the Assyrians, the dominant military power in Mesopotamia for centuries. Arpachshad is a more mysterious figure, but it is through his line that the genealogy proceeds towards Abraham. The name Eber is highly significant, as it is the traditional origin for the word Hebrew. The text notes that in his days, the earth was divided, a possible reference to the Tower of Babel story that immediately follows this chapter. Shem's legacy is not one of brick and mortar, but of covenant and continuity. The Table of Nations is far more than a dusty list of forgotten names. It is a profound statement about how one ancient culture perceived its world. For millennia, it provided a comprehensive framework for understanding human origins, influencing Jewish thought, influencing Christian thought, influencing Islamic thought. It shaped how people saw their place in the world and their relationship to others. For early mapmakers and historians, it was a foundational text, a guide to the geography and ethnography of the world. It was an assertion that beneath the bewildering diversity of cultures and languages, all of humanity shared a common source. This idea has echoed through the centuries, a powerful counter-narrative to division and strife. Of course, the Table of Nations is not a modern scientific document. Historians and archaeologists debate the exact identification of many of the names. Some connections like Mizraim, Egypt, or Madai, the Medes, are widely accepted. Others remain subjects of scholarly speculation, mysteries wrapped in the mists of time. We must read it for what it is, an artifact of its time, a theological and political document that uses genealogy to explain the world. The enduring power of this chapter lies in its fundamental question: where do we come from? In our modern world, we seek answers through genetics, archaeology, and linguistics. Yet the quest is the same. The world, according to this account, was repopulated from just 3 sons. From these 3 branches, a great family tree would grow, its limbs stretching to the furthest corners of the known world. This is not merely a list of names, it is an ancient ethnography, an attempt by early scribes to make sense of the diverse, often conflicting world around them. The Table of Nations is therefore a unique historical document. It provides a framework for understanding where the peoples of the ancient Near East believed they came from. It is their origin story, their explanation for the wonderful diversity of languages, cultures, kingdoms. From the islands of the Mediterranean to the plains of Mesopotamia, from the mountains of Anatolia to the deserts of Africa, this chapter traces them all back to a single shared ancestry. It suggests that despite our differences, all of humanity is interconnected, part of one sprawling, complex family. It is a profound statement about our shared beginnings on a planet reborn from water. As we journey through this ancient genealogy, we must see it with 2 sets of eyes. It reminds us that history is not just a series of random events, but a great interwoven story. A story in which every people, every nation, and every one of us has a part to play. Thank you for being part of this journey through ancient roots and timeless stories. If you enjoyed exploring the origins of humanity and the mysteries of the past, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join our growing community of history lovers, where every question sparks a conversation and every story brings us closer together. Tap the bell for more deep dives, ancient history, biblical tales, the legends that shaped our world. Your curiosity fuels this channel. We can't wait to explore more stories with you, so subscribe now, join the discussion in the comments, and let's keep uncovering the past together. See you in the next adventure.